I myself saw him almost every night drink 7,000 calories worth of alcohol. He was a towering myth in human form. Andre the Giant, standing 7 feet 4 inches tall and weighing over 520 pounds, was far more than just a wrestling icon. Revered across the globe, he was known not only for his unmatched size, but also for his legendary feats, including consuming 7,000 calories worth of alcohol in a single night. Despite his growing health issues, he famously refused medical help, fearing it would bring his career to an end. Andre lived entirely on his own terms. But when he died in 1993, the world's eyes turned to his mysterious daughter, Robin Christensen Rousimov. Those who knew him backstage often spoke of his kindness, calling him the true gentle giant. Now a question lingered. Could Robin carry on his colossal legacy, or might she be even bigger than the giant himself? The truth may surprise you. Andre the Giant, born André René Rousimov on May 19, 1946 in Grenoble, France, wasn't just a massive presence in wrestling. His life was shaped by a rare medical condition, early physical hardship, and an unshakable will to go beyond his rural beginnings. At birth, he already weighed a remarkable 13 pounds. Both of his parents were of average height. His mother was 5 feet 2 inches and his father 6 feet 2 inches. But Andre began growing rapidly from an early age. By age 12, he stood 6 feet 3 inches. By 17, he had grown to 6 feet 7 inches, eventually topping 7 feet and weighing over 500 pounds. His size was the result of a rare hormonal disorder called acromegaly, caused by the excessive production of human growth hormone. This condition results in continuous growth of bones and tissues, often leading to gigantism when it begins in childhood. Despite this, Andre led a fairly normal early life. He started school at 6 and excelled, particularly in mathematics and sports. His size made him a natural goalkeeper in soccer. By age 10, he was already 6 foot tall, making it nearly impossible for opponents to score against him. However, his formal education was cut short not because of poor performance but because his father needed help on the family farm. At age 14, which was legal under French law at the time, Andre left school and began working full-time. His enormous strength enabled him to do the work of several men, but he grew restless. Farming wasn't his dream. That's when he discovered professional wrestling, a place where his unique size could be admired, not pitted. At 18, Andre moved to Paris, and his exceptional size immediately attracted attention. He was discovered by a local wrestling promoter, Robert Laguillette, who saw commercial promise in him. Supporting himself as a mover by day and training as a wrestler by night, Andre began his career under the name Jean Ferret, inspired by a legendary French figure. In 1966, Canadian wrestler and promoter Frank Valois became his advisor and manager, helping him grow his career beyond France. His televised debut came against Le Prince, and soon audiences across Europe were captivated. His fame exploded globally in the 1970s and even more so in the 1980s when he joined the World Wrestling Federation, now WWE, and earned the nickname the Eighth Wonder of the World. Fans, children, and adults alike marveled at his size and surprising agility. Yet behind the fame lay a complex man coping with a misunderstood and poorly managed medical condition. Andre began experiencing an abnormal growth spurt around age 14, but doctors didn't identify acromegaly until much later. By the time he was officially diagnosed in 1981, after breaking his ankle, the damage was already done. His hands, feet, and head had grown to extreme proportions. He wore size 22 shoes, and everyday objects seemed like toys in his hands. His condition made everyday life a constant challenge. Using a rotary phone meant dialing with a pencil because his fingers were too large. Air travel was agony. He wrestled nearly 300 days a year but couldn't fit in airplane lavatories, resorting to using a bucket to relieve himself. Regular cars cramped his frame, forcing him to ride long distances in discomfort. Perhaps most tragically, Andre was unaware of the true nature of his condition for many years. Though it's believed he was first diagnosed in Japan in 1971, it wasn't confirmed until a full decade later. Treatments existed to manage acromegaly, but they could not reverse its effects. By then, Andre had accepted his fate. His story is not just one of physical size or wrestling fame. It is a story of resilience, pain, loneliness, and power. His legacy lives on not just in the ring, but in the hearts of those who knew him as more than a myth, a man who stood tall both literally and figuratively in the face of a world too small to contain him. Andre the Giant's immense presence in the wrestling world masked a medical condition that remained hidden for years. Acromegaly, a disorder that caused abnormal growth in his bones, tissues, and internal organs. His entry into professional wrestling was largely driven by his extreme physical dimensions. Weighing around 540 pounds with hands nearly twice the size of an average adult's, Andre found that tasks difficult for others were effortless for him. Despite his size, he qualified fairly under heavyweight wrestling rules and rapidly became a national sensation. He remained undefeated for years, not just because of skill, but because injuring him was virtually impossible. Many matches required 2 or 3 opponents to pose any real challenge. During the 1970s and 1980s, his popularity skyrocketed, making him one of the most recognized figures in the wrestling world. Acromegaly, the condition behind his growth, causes enlargement of the hands, feet, jaws, and even internal organs. It often brings with it chronic pain, mobility problems, and a shortened life expectancy, typically only 40 to 45 years. Despite these challenges, Andre continued wrestling for decades. He avoided intense workouts because his size alone provided a natural edge. Outside the ring, he was famously known for his staggering alcohol consumption, reportedly downing more than 100 beers in one sitting. But beneath the spectacle was a man yearning for normalcy. In his own words, "It's not my fault being the biggest and the strongest. I don't even exercise." As the years passed, his physical condition deteriorated severely. His knees and back, burdened by his enormous frame, began to fail. He eventually needed knee surgery just to continue performing, but even that couldn't halt the pain and instability. Yet Andre kept going for his fans. By 1992, his health had declined to the point where he officially retired. Despite his condition, the 1980s marked the peak of Andre's fame. He earned millions and transitioned into acting, most notably starring as Fezzik in the cult classic The Princess Bride, where his gentle nature left a global impression. Though his life was cut short by complications from acromegaly, Andre remains one of the most iconic figures in wrestling and pop culture history. One of the defining moments of Andre's career came on March 29, 1987, when more than 93,000 fans packed the Pontiac Silverdome in Michigan to witness WrestleMania 3. The highly anticipated match between Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant was the culmination of months of hype. Once allies, Andre had turned against Hogan, setting the stage for an epic clash. The physical contrast was dramatic. Andre, standing over 7 feet 4 inches and weighing more than 540 pounds, dwarfed Hogan, who stood 6 feet 7 inches and weighed 300 pounds. But beyond his intimidating presence, Andre often felt alienated in public. He was constantly stared at, photographed without consent, and approached by people more fascinated with his size than who he truly was. In interviews, Andre expressed frustration that many people treated him as a novelty, not as a person. Still, his reputation for alcohol consumption became legendary, with stories of him drinking 100 beers or 20 bottles of wine in one sitting. Though these tales, while never fully verified, fed into his mythic persona. In the ring that night, the match began with tension and failed attempts. Hogan initially couldn't lift Andre, but eventually, after hulking up and drawing energy from the roaring crowd, he managed the impossible. He lifted Andre off the mat and body slammed him, followed by his signature leg drop to secure the win. The crowd exploded in disbelief and celebration. That moment became a landmark in wrestling history, not only a display of raw strength but also a symbolic passing of the torch. WrestleMania 3 forever solidified both Hogan's and Andre's legacies and cemented their place in pop culture lore. Tragically, Andre the Giant passed away 6 years later in 1993 at the age of 46 while visiting France. Complications from acromegaly had taken their toll, but his influence remained unparalleled. His legend, however, did not end with him. In 1979, His daughter Robin Christensen Rousimov was born to Jean Christensen, whom Andre had met during the early 1970s when she worked for WWE. Though their relationship was brief and informal, it led to a lengthy legal battle to ensure Andre supported his daughter financially. Robin only met her father a few times in her early life, as his constant travel and the strained relationship with Jean kept them distant. Jean would later appear with Robin on the television program A Current Affair, highlighting the personal side of a man the world only saw as a giant. During her pregnancy, Andre reportedly believed he was physically incapable of having children, leading him to initially doubt whether Robin was truly his daughter. However, a court-ordered blood test in 1981 confirmed his paternity, and as a result, the court mandated that Andre pay child support ranging from $750 to $1,000 per month. Jean claimed it wasn't Andre himself who resisted supporting his daughter, but rather his management team, who tightly controlled his finances and discouraged personal involvement. Andre's demanding travel schedule and strained relationship with Jean further complicated any meaningful connection with Robin. According to The Eighth Wonder of the World by Bertrand Hébert and Pat Laprade, phone conversations between Andre and Robin often deteriorated into arguments between Andre and Jean. While Andre expressed a desire to spend time with his daughter, he wanted to do so without involving her mother. Robin, understandably wary as a child, did not feel comfortable visiting her father alone. Both Jean and Andre agreed, however, that the chaotic world of professional wrestling was not a suitable environment for a child. Following Andre's death in 1993, Robin, his only child and legal heir, suddenly found herself in a high-profile position. She inherited part of his estate and gained exclusive rights to his name and likeness, placing her in control of how his image and legacy would be managed. Major wrestling companies, toy brands, and video game developers approached her for licensing deals involving Andre's image. As the de facto guardian of her father's public persona, Robin took on the responsibility of protecting and preserving his legacy. Despite the attention and opportunities, Robin never pursued a wrestling career herself. Instead, she focused on ensuring that any project involving her father truly honored his memory and identity. The relationship between Andre the Giant and his daughter Robin was one marked more by absence than connection. Andre, despite his larger-than-life persona, had a personal life riddled with emotional disconnect, especially with Robin. His grueling WWF, now WWE, travel schedule kept him on the road for over 300 days a year, leaving little time to form meaningful relationships. According to Robin, phone calls were rare, and in-person meetings were awkward. Most of their interactions occurred in courtrooms over child support rather than around dinner tables or birthday celebrations. Emotionally, the gap between them may have been greater than the physical one. Andre's global fame, he was known as the eighth wonder of the world, became a barrier to building a simple, grounded father-daughter relationship. Those close to Andre admitted he cared deeply for Robin but struggled with expressing that love. His fame and lifestyle made him feel like a mythic figure, distant, even within his own family. Jean, Robin's mother, played a key role in shaping their limited contact. After Robin's birth, Jean moved to the United States and chose to raise her daughter privately, far from the spectacle of the wrestling world. She believed that keeping Robin away from the public would give her a chance at a normal life, though that choice also added to the emotional and geographical distance from Andre. Despite the lack of a traditional father-daughter relationship, Andre never completely abandoned his responsibilities. He paid child support and made sure Robin had ways to reach him. "We always had a phone number to contact him," Robin once recalled. While Andre's efforts may not have measured up to full fatherhood, they show he attempted to stay involved in his own way. The true tragedy of their relationship lies not only in the lack of a bond but in the quiet, unfulfilled attempts at connection that never had time to grow. By the time reconciliation seemed possible, Andre's health was rapidly declining due to acromegaly, the same condition that had given him his extraordinary size. Robin Christensen Rousimov is the only confirmed child of Andre the Giant, whose real name was Andre René Rousimov. Though Robin stands around 6 feet tall and weighs approximately 220 pounds, she does not come close to her father's staggering size of 7 feet 4 inches and 520 pounds at his peak. His immense stature was not genetic but the result of acromegaly, a condition that contributed to both his wrestling fame and his premature death at age 46. Despite online rumors suggesting Robin may have outgrown her father, she has publicly addressed and debunked these claims. While she shares some facial features with Andre, she does not possess his physical scale or strength. Some fans expressed initial disappointment that Andre's daughter did not inherit his legendary size, but others recognized that legacy isn't measured in inches or pounds. Robin was only about 5 or 6 years old when Andre became a household name, and due to his relentless travel schedule, their time together was extremely limited. She never watched his matches live, and most of her exposure to him came from brief backstage visits and fleeting encounters. The emotional distance between Andre the Giant and his daughter was not a result of personal neglect, but rather the consequence of Andre's demanding global wrestling career. After his death in 1993, Robin made the decision to honor his legacy in meaningful ways. She began attending wrestling conventions, signing autographs, and connecting with fans who still remembered Andre as a childhood hero. Through their heartfelt stories, Robin gained new insight into the impact her father had on countless lives, which in turn helped her process her own grief. She also participated in special events, including screenings of The Princess Bride, where Andre's role as Fezzik offered audiences a glimpse of his true gentle nature, something rarely seen in the wrestling ring. Robin has served as a consultant on documentaries and biographical projects aimed at preserving her father's story with honesty and care. Though she maintains a relatively low public profile, her efforts have been crucial in upholding the integrity of Andre's legacy. There is no confirmed evidence that Andre had any children besides Robin, making her the sole heir to his personal and public memory. Despite the limited time they shared, she remains a central figure in keeping his legacy alive. Her quiet but determined dedication ensures that the world remembers Andre the Giant not just as a spectacle, but as a man of depth and kindness. Robin Christensen Rousimov has embraced a unique role, not as a wrestler or performer like her father, but as the guardian of a profound legacy. Though she may not physically tower over others the way Andre did, the impact she makes in preserving his memory is immense. Her connection to Andre is not only biological but deeply emotional, cultural, and historical. Rather than seeking the spotlight, Robin has taken deliberate steps to keep her father's story alive through purpose-driven actions. One of her most significant contributions is the establishment of the Andre the Giant Memorial Scholarship Fund, which supports young talent in the performing arts. This initiative pays tribute to the entertainment world that gave Andre his platform and global fame. Robin chooses to invest in the dreams of others, just as her father once pursued his own. She also plays a key role in managing Andre's estate, overseeing film and book projects about his life. Her input ensures that documentaries and scripted features reflect the true man behind the myth, told with honesty rather than fan-driven fantasy. Robin occasionally appears at wrestling conventions, but not as a publicity stunt. These carefully chosen events allow her to engage with fans who want to understand more about the real Andre, the man behind the legendary persona. For many, meeting Robin is the closest they'll come to understanding the emotional truth of Andre's life. Despite the emotional and physical distance they endured due to Andre's intense wrestling schedule and complicated personal life, Robin's dedication to his legacy is unwavering. Her efforts are not just for the fans. They are deeply personal acts of love and remembrance. She has taken on the responsibility of being the bridge between Andre's massive public image and the quiet private man she knew as her father. Robin's story is not just about being the daughter of a celebrity. It's a story of identity, resilience, and legacy. She carries her father's memory forward, not with bravado, but with heartfelt purpose. Through her, future generations can come to know Andre the Giant, not just as a wrestling legend or film star, but as a complex human being who faced pain, isolation, and immense responsibility.